Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching TVC Breakfast. With over 20 million people, Lagos State is Africa's most populous city, with both rural and urban areas. The Lagos State government has been proactive in fostering economic growth and has implemented policies to encourage investment and economic expansion. Well, Lagos State significantly contributes to Nigeria's GDP, making it an economic powerhouse. This is part of the Megacity initiative for the state to provide infrastructure and facilities that will enable the city cope with its large population. That's what we want to discuss next. We have with us in the studio Dr. Oluyinka Olumide. He is the Honorable Commissioner of the Lagos State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. Thanks a lot for joining us, Honorable Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Right. So there is a mega city plan. That's on the side. Let's begin with, the level of compliance on the part of the residents. How well have, the residents been able to latch on to, this mega city plan, this mega city vision of the state government, especially in the light of our discussion talking about physical planning, which I understand is a key component of the plan.
Yeah, thank you very much. My dear people of Lagos, I say good morning once again. Quite frankly, I will not like to put the entire blame on the populace in terms of their response to the status of the state in view of the physical planning. I said this because I think there is the problem of communication and understanding. I want to believe that we have a lot to do in terms of educating and letting our people know exactly what we mean when we say planning of a city. We have a very large gap to fill in that regard for them to have the understanding of the purpose of those plans, so that because the belief is that if you have a full understanding of an issue, definitely your reaction to that particular issue will be of a better one. So I will not put the blame on them in terms of compliance. I think having realized this, that's what we set out to correct now, for them to know the purpose of plans. Why do we make plans? Now, if that is understood, then it will go a long way in terms of implementing and ensuring that we bequeath to ourselves a decent city.
All right. Does this, support, a report, that came from your end, where you said, the level of compliance with building approvals is just at about 25%? Is this to buttress that earlier point? Help us to speak some more about why this is so and, what is being done to change the narrative.
Yeah, thank you very much. The percentage of approved building in the state, not only in the state, because we've done research all over the country, is still very, very low. A lot of people don't have the understanding of the purpose why there is a need for them to get building plan approvals. Now, the simple thing and the best way we can go about is for us to even have the understanding. If a child is born today, we all know that the child has to be named. There is nobody on this planet Earth that doesn't have a name. And the moment a name is gotten, then it is registered. There is nobody also on Earth that probably will not have a birth certificate. So if people have the understanding from that angle, it's going to be very easy for us to also know that, okay, let us see building as a child being born. In actual fact, it's a child being born, because the processes that went into a child being born is almost the same thing as going into a physical structure being delivered. So if they have that realization that it is important for us to have a birth certificate, then it goes a long way to also understand and appreciate that it's also important to have a building registered. So these are things we want to start to correct. And that's why, good enough for us, the governor gave the amnesty period. Because having realized this, that, okay, let's open up for people and let them come in. Your building has been on 20, 30 years, 10 years without approval. What is important now is that all buildings must have approval. So you have the opportunity to come forward and get those buildings approved. That's what we've been doing now.
Right. So talking about the recent extension of the amnesty for buildings that don't have permits actually indicates that there is still more challenges. So exactly what measures are you putting in place to ensure that people actually comply, with these, planning regulations in the future?
Yeah, that's why I said part of the thing we were trying to achieve with this summit coming on is the understanding and education of the people, because it's our belief that if we have an understanding, it makes the process very easy for us. So we need to, in fact, let me give you one example. Somebody wanted to develop a building, and he approached designers who did all the drawings, and he went to the design office that, okay, upon advice by the consultant, that's the designer. So he went to the design office, and they gave him assessment. And he went and paid. And he went back to his house, kept the receipt with himself, and started work. So when we approached that, you're starting construction with that, I said, hey, come on, guys, hold on. I've been to your office, giving me assessment, and I've paid. So you can see the level of awareness and understanding. So it's not just, in fact, he has not even started the process, because the drawing must go in, it has to be assessed, all the various professionals, architectural, structural, and all the like, before it comes out as approved building. That is even one leg. Now, the other leg now is even the building control, that to ensure that the people you engage to site to do that development are actually qualified to oversee those construction, and that they are also doing it in line with what was designed. So it's, we need to go out and get ourselves educated.
But how often do your officials, or those who, the enforcers or the task, what do we call them, those who actually go out to ensure that they ensure compliance with the building specifications and all of that? Because sometimes you have some of these, owners, property owners saying, yeah, we had the relevant permission, we did the relevant payment and all of that, but the government still comes over to say we didn't do our due diligence, and then at the end of the day, they're going to fail our building. So exactly do you think your people are doing to ensure that this doesn't really come up? Because sometimes when they blame you, it's as if every other one will say is that if the Lagos State government is not doing the right thing, they're only making people suffer.
That is not true. That is not true. I can tell you authoritatively that no building will be demolished with approved plan. If anybody has an approval and your building needs to be demolished, you will be adequately compensated. Now, what we have are cases where there are some conditions where buildings will not be allowed. If, for example, you develop without recourse to approval, and that development is such that it went completely outside the land use purpose for that area, of course, it will be demolished. Now, again, you will agree with me that the primary purpose of government is to ensure safety of life and property. Now, if you now build under high tension cable line, government has to do something. We can't allow that kind of a thing. Right. Now, if you build on gas pipeline, for example.
You are saying if you build, but yes, not if you're building. It's a process is different from something you've done and then you're already living in it. Yeah. So people will be asking questions. What exactly was the government doing? Watching them erect this building and habitate it, and maybe some years after they just woke up and say, no, this is not right to be here.
No, again, that is also not true. Now, I can tell you with all confidence that there is no part of the state that you will start construction that one of our agencies will not be there. Either LASPA, that's the Planning Permit Authority, or LAPSCA, the Building Control, or the Material Testing Laboratory, or the Safety Commission. There's virtually now. What happens in most cases is that at the infancy stage, they are approached. The officers will be there. Normally, they go out maybe one or two, at the infancy level, and they will approach them to tell them that, look, you don't have authority to do this. But in most cases, some of those developments are sort of fenced, whereby officers are not allowed to have access. Some of them are even with some security personnel who will harass them. Now, but back from 2022 now, we have heavily fortified team now. There's nowhere now that we cannot access. Even military barracks, there is nowhere now that we cannot access. So when they are approached at that infancy, they bully those guys, and they continue, because there are processes for, we don't just move into a place and say we want to demolish.
That's right.
You first be served, warning to come, If you don't come, you'll be given time, you come again and serve. So all this being followed. But it is not that they are not aware at that stage, just that they refuse to comply with the...
I can relate with Ibrahim's question because, the sentiment out there is, government appears to be overwhelmed, especially in this core duty of, monitoring. And so there is a what year is it now? The regulation that's, is governed, 2019.
Yes.
Where I'm even heading in this question now is how far that has gone, because that regulation has a number of, punitive measures, that should help to tackle the menace of lawlessness, abuse that we see out there, begging for government's attention. How well has that regulation fared in terms of implementation?
It's been very, very fantastic, I must confess. Now, because we now have clear distinctions as against getting the permit and overseeing the site construction work. Now, what we have even realized, also part of when that law was being formulated, is that we have the capacity, but we don't have enough personnel. And there is a program coming up now which is called CAP, Certified Accredited Program. Now, the meaning of this is that we want to leverage on professionals within the built environment who will be involved in physical development.
Is this outsourcing? Would that be correct to call it?
It's not really outsourcing. It's just like, let me say, requesting for help or assistance, so to say. Because what happens is that we have, again, let me emphasize this, professionals related to building production. Building production. And you're talking now of the architects, the engineers, and the builders. Those are the people that will be involved in site delivery. Now, what they try to do is that we have, they come in as a team. Architects, engineers, that's electrical, mechanical, and structural, and builders. And they will be assigned sites to help us to oversee. Because the process of building control, it's a bit, it goes with time. For example, if you are building, it has to flow with your financial plan.
That's right.
I mean, as a salarian, you may not have the full money to start from beginning to end. So you may probably want to say, okay, let me do the foundation this year. So the team comes in to ensure that, okay, you set out the building on site as is designed in the drawing. And again, that your foundation is done as is designed in the drawing. So those people will help us to ensure that, okay, you've done what is expected to do. And we will now have our officers that will come. It makes it easier for us because a team might be given, let's say, 3 or 4 sites. So on a regular basis, they give us a feedback of the level of compliance,
Right. That's right.
Yes.
But if you look at Lagos, it's one of the fastest growing, cities in Africa. And one is now thinking of the urban framework that you're bringing on board or that you've been, working with to address the challenge. So exactly what are you doing to address the challenges of population explosion, housing deficit, and infrastructure strain?
Yeah, thank you very much. When plans are made, it's not a plan only for physical planning. It's a whole plan for the development of the states. And in the process of doing those plans, regional master plan, we go down from the grassroots, get their fillers with all the related MDAs. So before the plans are made, okay, an area is studied. How, probably they already have a plan from, let's say, 20 years back. Now you want to review those plans. You go there. Now the last time we planned, your population was X amount. Now it's X plus Y. Now what has led to that? Now the last time we came, the primary school enrollment was this figure. Now is this. What has led to that? So these are all things that are put together that will now guide, for example, Ministry of Education. We let them know that, okay, in this enclave there is a need to now have a new school. Now, for example, what was the population there and what's the population there? That will again give us a feeler to, do we need to expand the roads or do we need to come in with some new roads, which means infrastructure, taking charge, transportation, taking charge. Now, the same goes for all the various MDAs. For example, you also talk of environment. The previous plan, what was the level of drainage planned? Now, with the volume of people coming in there, is there a need for us to expand those drainage routes, or we need to have a new one? Again, don't forget that this is Nigeria. You don't need any visa to move within. So on a daily basis, millions of people enter Lagos. And that is why one of the quickest way of responding to all these challenges is now to take advantage of transportation infrastructure. Because the meaning of that is that people may not be, on the level of their financial status, may not be able to live in a particular area. For example, let's say Banana Island, let's say Victoria Island, let's say Ileki. It might be difficult for somebody on a salary of, let's say, 500,000, for example, per annum, to get an accommodation in that area. But of necessity, maybe his job is around that place. So a quicker way of solving that is that you have to provide ease of transportation. And that's why we've invested very aggressively on transportation infrastructure, the rail route, the road, and the seawater, so that they can leave Badagry, for example, take the rail under 20-30 minutes back at CMS.
Right. All right. Well, we are running out of time. That's if we've not entirely run out of time. But there's an upcoming summit, physical planning summit, organized by your ministry. Tell us about, the expected deliverables. Yeah,
thank you very much. Come 15th, 16th of this month, October, Tuesday and Wednesday, at Eco Hotel on Victoria Island, we're going to have the very first Lagos State Physical Planning Summit 2024. And this is a bit unique from the regular summit that we normally have, because the purpose is, like I said, I started when you raised the point that let's not blame our people.
That's right.
The starting point is that we want people to have an understanding of what exactly are these plans that we are talking about. What do we consider in the process of producing these plans? Now, if they have this understanding, it makes it easier for us in terms of implementation. Now, the implementation is entirely supposed to be by the government. Now, what we have now, free economy, must the government be saddled with the responsibility of actually ensuring the implementation of this plan. So we now want to look at, okay, let's open up this horizon so that private people, PPP, both local and international, can come in as a way of getting the implementation of all this, our operating development plan. For example, let's say electrical companies producing cables and street lights and something like that. It is the responsibility of the government to ensure that our streets are lights are provided on our street. But must it of necessity be of government? Can't we have a private initiative where electrical companies producing these materials without having enough patronage in terms of marketing? Can they go into it and say, okay, let's provide the street lights, and we have a structure whereby it becomes OPEX for the government and payments are made in terms of them recouping their salary. So these are things we want to open up. And of course, there are bound to be, it's a new thing starting, or there are bound to be some challenges. So we want to look at this, what is the legal framework that we can put in place to ensure that the implementation is done. And again, most importantly, we want to, on a yearly basis, we finish this year, we come up with these are things we plan to achieve. Next year, we want to say, okay, what level of achievement have we achieved? We said we'll do this. Have we done it? What level have we reached? 50%, 60%. So it becomes a living document. And the people, it's a win-win situation because it's not a government document. Those plans, they are for everybody. So they also have the right to say, hey, come, we have traffic chaos in this area. You promised that you are going to have an overhead bridge. What is happening? It's supposed to be done within this plan. So that's the purpose we want to achieve.
When exactly is it coming up, and who are the kind of people or the category of people that you're expecting to attend this program?
Again, it's coming up Tuesday and Wednesday, next week, precisely, 15th and 16th, 8 p.m. daily.
8 a.m.?
Yeah, sorry, 8:30 a.m. Right. 8:30 a.m. At Eco Hotel on Victoria Island. And of course, it's for everybody, but you will agree with me that we can't put everybody there. So, but we have them coming in as stakeholders. The market women under their leadership, various professional bodies, academics, developers. I mean, people that have stakes in development of our physical environment.
And it's a free entry.
Yeah, we've sent out, it's online, you can register, we've sent out invitations. So
it's also going to be hybrid.
Yes, it's also hybrid. Yeah.
All right. Honorable Commissioner, we'll just leave it at that and continue to, look forward to next week's event. We thank you very much for your time, Dr. Oluyinka Olumide, the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.